And I'm not sure when it was that Father Monahan approached me about putting Christmas trees on the back side of the altar. And I think he must have approached me. I don't remember a great deal about it, because I had been active in previously in the parish here. But he wanted 3 Christmas trees behind the altar that stood above the altar, that could be seen, so they could be seen from the congregation. And he provided 3 18-foot trees, natural trees, and said, "Here, I want them standing up behind." And I got hold of one of the busman boys. I don't remember which one now, because there were 3 of them there that were pretty helpful. And the 2 of us come up with well, I made the stands for the Christmas tree, and then we had to get them standing upright. And there are 3 holes in the dome above the altar, and I rolled up a ball of light twine about the size of an indoor, and after a number of attempts I finally got it to go up through the hole up there and come down the other side. And I tied one end to a rope, and we tied the rope to one near the top of the tree, and then one of us started standing the tree up, the other one started taking tension on the rope to help raise it. And it was quite a job there for a couple of amateurs. And then I had made the stands for the Christmas tree. They were 2x6s and a form of a cross nailed together. And then I had a piece of sheet metal band that went from the one side of the stand up to a portion of the trunk of the tree, and I screwed it right to the tree, right into the tree. And before we set the tree up there, I had had a spike sitting upwards from the bottom of the stand, and I impaled a plastic 5-gallon ice cream pail over that, and then caulked up around the nail a little bit for water for the trees. And then somebody else took on the job of decorating them up there. They had to have a big ladder up there too, because they were way up there. But they turned out very beautiful. The decoration, the altar has always been beautiful at Incarnation. And Incarnation is noted for the beautiful Christmas decorations there. And I was lucky to be part of it. And now they use artificial trees, and on a stand. Therefore they can get by with a shorter tree, and they can use the same tree over and over. But the results are the same. The Christmas decorations at Incarnation are fabulous. Everybody comes to see them. Between the trees and all the poinsettias, it's just amazing there, how nice it looks. And then one other experience I had after Father Monahan arrived, shortly after he arrived, one of my daughters had just given birth to a little girl, and we requested if Father Monahan would baptize her at a Saturday night Mass, which he said, yeah. I had no idea what his thoughts on that were, but he said, yeah, he would. And so we had her baptized on a Saturday evening. And she was born 31st of May, what's 31 years ago. So he had just arrived, he was newly arrived. That's why I asked him what his thoughts on that were, if he would do that. See, he said, yeah, he would do that. So we had her baptized at a Saturday night Mass at Incarnation. Father Goldman, of course, my kids know more about Father Goldman because the kids loved him. And we at one time were, what do I want to say, caretakers of St. Leonard's Parish, and at times Monsignor Gormley would be over there to say Mass, and I'd be over there to read for him. That was a lovely little church. It's small, and I didn't need a microphone, and the congregation was close. I could look at everybody. I knew quite a few of the people by name, and to me it was a very nice place to read. I really liked to read over there, and I'd get over there and read about once a month at least. Father Gormley would be over there and saying Mass, and I'd read for him, and who else? Father Adrian has a parish here in St. Paul yet. In fact, I've got a couple of flyers in my junk someplace when he was running for councilman or whatever it was. He was running for political office, and I got a couple of them flyers with his picture on it. He's got a beard and a mustache, and I don't know if he still has that or not. Oh, speaking of Father Mertz, my wife and I, in our early years, before we came to Incarnation, we were at Ascension up in North Minneapolis when Father Mertz was up there. And Father Mertz baptized one or two of my kids up there, and then we moved down into Incarnation, and he came down to Incarnation as an administrator. And he says he remembers when he baptized my kids. Yeah, Father Cassidy. And I ran into him too. I was involved with the Archbishop's, one of the Archbishop's fundraising programs, and we went out there to his church out there for a general meeting, myself and Jim Keene and a bunch of other people that volunteered to help collect the funds for that. That was out at his church there, and I had a chance to renew the acquaintance of Father Cassidy out there. And I think he has since passed away too. Yeah. When we first come into the parish, there must have been about 6 or 7 priests there, and I remember too, that was before they had lay people helping distribute communion. The priest would the celebrant was the important one, and then at communion time, priests would come out from the sacristy, and they would go around to the back of the altar and get in the tabernacle from the back. That tabernacle opens from the back, so that they would be ready to help distribute communion at the altar rail. And I think a lot of people don't realize that tabernacle opens up from the back too. That's when everybody had to went up to the rail there. And those 2 gates at the, man, they were too heavy for the hinges that they had on there. They were there when Reverend and I first come in the parish. And not long after that, not long after that was the Second Vatican Council, and then they started making those changes, involving more lay people and so forth like that. And that's when the Eucharistic ministers were able to help distribute communion. I think that's when they took those gates down then, because they were on their last legs anyway. Well, yeah, because they were getting to a point where they couldn't open them or close them without a lot of effort. Earlier, before that, they never opened or closed them very much. They had them closed all the time, see. But then when they had started getting the lay people more involved, then they had to open them up and make it accessible for the people. You used to have to have a hat or a veil on their head. Oh, and then the center aisle going across. But they took up all the pews and refinished the wood floors. Now, Florent Hyman was involved in that. He kind of supervised it because he was a former foreman and lead man and stuff like that, see. And they took up all the pews so they could get in there and sand the floors and refinish them. And then when they put them back, they shortened the first, 3 or 4 rows in the front, and then they left out some across to make a cross there. And the reason they shortened the pews in the front was so that they could turn a casket around without having to go up the step and take it down again. They come up that far and they turn it around. The casket has to be going a certain way coming into the church, and it has to be going a certain way going out of the church. And by shortening those pews, they're able to turn the casket without going up the step and down the step.